When I saw the number 76,000 in the first year and 78,000 in the second year and 85,000 in the third year, I mean, for somebody who is now the face of women's basketball, it seemed kind of ridiculous. A guy who is in the NBA first year, they can get 10 million. And I get it, their ticket sales and the math and all that stuff.
Let's dive into a heated topic that has liberals fuming. Caitlin Clark's $76,000 WNBA salary. Ben Shapiro is here to dismantle the misplaced outrage and their complete misunderstanding of money.
In any case, Caitlin Clark making 76 grand, and Hoda is very disturbed. Not disturbed enough to, cut into her multi-million-dollar salary for Caitlin Clark, but disturbed.
The left is up in arms about Caitlin Clark's earnings. She's worth millions, they scream. And why not? Caitlin is undeniably a once-in-a-generation athlete, drawing comparisons to legends like Steph Curry for her long-range shooting and dynamic play. But let's pump the brakes for a second. If you're going to argue about fair pay, you'd better be consistent. That's where things fall apart.
Will be paid next year a whopping total of $76,000 in the WNBA. And everybody is very, very angry about this. No, they say, no, she's worth millions. So first of all, I'm going to use the left-wing argument that they're constantly using with regard to entertainers who make a lot of money, which is, but a public school teacher's only making like 45 grand. So why is Caitlin Clark more important than... Again, all those arguments go out the window when it's somebody that they supposedly like.
That's right. Some people love to argue that entertainers and athletes don't deserve their high salaries because public school teachers only make a mere $45,000 a year. You know what's funny? This line of argument conveniently disappears when it's someone they admire. Where are the calls for equity now? Should Caitlin Clark earn less so her salary can be distributed among educators? Of course not. That argument only comes up when it suits their narrative.
But there's just something about this that is so disturbing. I picture all the little girls with signs that say Caitlin, and then they're like, but this is what her contract is worth.
This TV anchor is sad because Caitlin's fans, the little girls who hold her signs, would be disappointed in the WNBA. Now, listen to what Ben Shapiro has to say.
None of those little girls go to WNBA games, which is why her contract is worth $76,000. When women are complaining about the salaries in the WNBA, as comedian Bill Burr has pointed out, women are half the population. They can go to WNBA games, but they don't. So why are you yelling at all the men about the salaries in the WNBA?
Before Clark arrived on the scene, not many girls held WNBA signs. Heck, the stadiums were practically empty for all these years. Now that the league is finally generating some buzz, these women are complaining about the salaries to men. The league is literally named Women's NBA.
The WNBA has a gross annual revenue of like $180 million. That's for all of the teams, and there are dozens of teams. The gross NBA revenue is $11 billion. $11 billion. You want to know why the salaries are different? Because the revenue is different. Because people watch the NBA and no one watches the WNBA.
That's right. The reason why Caitlin Clark is being paid $76,000 is because of a simple reason: basic economics. Let me explain. Clark's league, the WNBA, doesn't earn as much as the NBA. The WNBA earns $180 million for all their teams, but the NBA earns $11 billion, almost 60 times more than the WNBA. Now that's a lot more money. This is why NBA players get paid more. It's not because people are being unfair, it's just how money works. Think of it like this: a small company that earns $100 can afford to pay $10 to someone, while a bigger company earning $1,000 is paying $100. Both are paying 10% of their income, but the difference is huge.
And are you ready? $76,000. In fact, listen to me. Listen to this, because if you thought that was some way to hear this. The entire Fever payroll is $1.2 million. Less. That is less than the minimum salary for a single NBA player with a year's experience.
Are you kidding me? NBA's viewership is significantly much more than their woman counterparts. People have been watching the NBA for years, and the WNBA, not so much.
So the women have the headlines, they have the fans, they have the viewers. When the hell are they going to get paid?
Can believe what this anchor is saying? This is utterly delusional. And I can guarantee you that this person who is crying so much about WNBA salaries has not even bought a single ticket for a WNBA game ever. And listen to this for a second. For a business constantly losing money, $76,000 is not bad for 10 weeks of work. Imagine your boss has been in the red for 44 years, and they are still paying you this much amount of money. Would you be ungrateful and mock them on their face? Absolutely not. I know I wouldn't.
We are not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, like, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
Here we can see Kelsey Plum arguing about percentage income and not getting any money from jersey sales. You what's funny? Before Clark, I have never ever seen somebody wearing a WNBA player's jersey. Never.
You see these, every year, these contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah, massive.
But that's because their CBA, it negotiates where if the owners are making certain types of money, they get that as well.
Got it.
In the WNBA, that's not the case.
Okay, well, I mean, that's a more rational request, at least. The only problem is the WNBA, until Caitlin Clark, had no revenue.
That's right. This one argument is actually hilarious. If they paid based on the revenue, she would owe the WNBA right around $63,000 for every year she has been on an active roster. You see, since the WNBA is not making any profit, 50% of zero sales still equates to $0. WNBA is actually subsidized by the NBA. Shouldn't they be glad they have a freaking job with constant paychecks?
The NBA, and no one watches the WNBA. At all. The numbers are abysmal. Every time the women's national soccer team wins a championship, wins a World Cup, everybody's like, this is the moment when women's soccer in the United States is just going to take off on a professional level. And 2 years later, the league is bankrupt because no one went to see a women's soccer game, because why would you? A bunch of high school boys could beat them.
That's right. Women are half the population. If they want higher salaries in the WNBA, they could just go to the games and support their beloved league, but the numbers don't lie. WNBA attendance and TV ratings are abysmal compared to the NBA. It's not men refusing to watch, it's women too. So why are these fake feminists pointing fingers at men?
When it comes to college basketball for women's sports, people have regional loyalty to the school. So you'll see a lot of men who go to like an Iowa basketball game for women because they have loyalty to the school. But once they're separated off from the school, are you like desperate to go see an Indiana Fever game? Do you got the fever for the Indiana Fever?
Regional loyalty makes a lot of difference. Many men and women love to see an athlete perform at her college games, but that loyalty seems to disappear in the WNBA. Now, having said that, Clark has managed to pull in amazing numbers for her games, but we have to consider her as a phenomenal exception.
I don't understand why, because ESPN, who we work for, also part of the Disney thing, they came in and swooped in and said, oh, okay, we're going to start to do this, but they should have kissed this deal by taking care of all of the WNBA and giving them enough money for a bump up, because you have another deal to make.
Once again, these fake feminists want to take more money than the league is making. If your bank account has $100, you can't withdraw $200. It just isn't possible.
I declare bankruptcy!
If you want sponsorships or brand deals, you have to work for it. These complainers need to start going to games and buying merch. It's really that simple.
Beyond this, Caitlin Clark is going to be just fine. Caitlin Clark has an incentive agreement, marketing agreements with the WNBA. They get to make money off of her image, but those marketing agreements are at least $500,000, and her actual other endorsements will certainly be in the multi-millions of dollars. According to Fortune magazine, she's already signed endorsement deals worth over $3 million.
That's right, Caitlin Clark isn't struggling. Despite her base salary of $76,000, she's already signed endorsement deals worth millions. Her latest move is a major collaboration with supermarket chain Hy-Vee, a powerhouse that rakes in more than $13 billion annually, per its official site. Can you believe it? So while these people cry about her WNBA salary, Caitlin is laughing all the way to the bank.
But the bottom line is, the NBA has been in existence for 15 more years than the WNBA. They do bring in more money. They bring in about, several $1 billion as opposed to several $1 million. But times have changed. Mm-hmm. We know that this college basketball game was viewed by more people than all the men's college basketball games. This tournament. It's bigger than the overall.
You know what? Dawn Staley said it best on NPR. Go back and look at what the NBA players made when that league was 28 years old, and you will find they didn't make any money either. The WNBA is a relatively young league with less public support. If you want them to make more money, go see the games, buy the merchandise, and stop crying about it.
So, again, is she going to be hurting? No, because she is a one of one. And she's a unique person who has captured public attention, because of her style of play and because she's hitting shots from near the half-court line and all the rest of this sort of stuff. However, the reason for the difference in the value of her WNBA contract versus the NBA is because she's not in the NBA, and people don't watch the WNBA.
That's right. Clark's talent and marketability are undeniable, and her endorsement deals reflect that. She's a unique player who captivates audiences with her half-court shots and electrifying performances. But let's be clear, the money she earns from endorsements isn't tied to the WNBA's financial structure. It's based on her individual market value and brand image, something even leftists should be able to grasp.
The subjective theory of value points out that what things are actually worth are what people are willing to pay for them. There is no such thing, therefore, as a quote-unquote fair salary.
Ben Shapiro has put it best. There's no such thing as a fair share. There's what you can negotiate based on your market value. That's it.
You see, that's what I'm talking about.
Caitlyn's $76,000 salary is what the WNBA can afford to pay her. It's not an insult, it's reality. If the league's revenue increases, so will the player salaries. But until then, the numbers don't lie. Another thing to keep in mind is that the league relies on the NBA's sweet money to stay afloat. So when liberals demand that WNBA players like Caitlin Clark earn fair salaries, they're ignoring the simple fact that the league can't sustain itself without help. If the WNBA operated on its own revenue, salaries would drop to zero. Let that sink in.
But this absolute idiocy that because Caitlin Clark is making like 76 grand in base salary, she's going to end up making, by the way, probably closer to $5 to $10 million this year. But because of that base salary, somehow women are being treated unfairly. Your definition of fair is not how the world works.
There's only one Caitlin Clark, and she's a rare talent. Her skills make her invaluable in her niche market. But even within the WNBA, her salary reflects the league's overall revenue, not her personal worth. It's a harsh truth, but it's how the world works. Why compare Caitlin Clark's salary to NBA players instead of teachers? Because it's an emotional argument, not a logical one. The NBA generates billions in revenue, while the WNBA struggles to fill seats. The talent pool, viewership, and advertising revenue are worlds apart. Comparing the two leagues is like comparing apples to oranges. Instead of crying foul, perhaps it's time for liberals to confront the facts and focus on supporting the league they claim to care about. What do you think? Is Clark being unfairly treated, or her endorsement deals good enough? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.